Greetings, my dear viewers. Welcome back to a Pathfinder video. I think I'll call this series a raw guide to Pathfinder, since we are going over the rules of Pathfinder 2nd Edition. I'm sure you remember this little sheet here from when we started the character creation series that I call Hero Flux, as in fluctuation. I have to keep saying that because the first time I did the series, YouTube decided to put a complaint in, so I had to explain to them what the term meant. Anyway, this sheet right here is the actions sheet. And this right here is what we are talking about today. Casting a spell. It's pretty darn similar to Dungeons & Dragons if you are one of my normal viewers. But there are some differences, and I'll make sure to cover those in this video. As far as similarities go, I'm going to try to keep them out, because everybody who has played D&D already knows how to do certain things within Pathfinder. Anyway, that's rambling. Like I said, there are similarities. You have the 8 schools of magic: abjuration, conjuration, divination, enchantment, evocation, illusion, necromancy, and transmutation. But there's more. You have the 4 essences. This kind of categorizes the spell schools into 4 other categories. As a way to condense them, you have matter, spirit, mind, and life, which is pretty cool. But I think the best part is the next page prior, the magical traditions. These are your spell lists: arcane, divine, occult, and primal. If you have a spellcasting class, it will tell you which spell list that you need to go to. Arcane, of course, is mostly for wizards, the divine is for mostly clerics, the occult for bards, and of course, druids are primal magic. This makes sense. Moving on, we have spell attack roll and spell DC, which again has very similar properties to that of Dungeons & Dragons 5th Edition. The spell attack roll is your spellcasting ability modifier, your proficiency bonus, and any other bonuses and penalties. While your spell save DC, known as spell DC, is 10, plus spell ability modifier, proficiency bonus, and other bonuses and penalties. Wait, hold on. Something doesn't seem right. I think I put down the wrong thing. Wrong piece of information. Nope, everything's correct. Good. Moving on to our next one, and that is spell slots. You have your prepared spells. To quote, pages 298 to 299. If you are a prepared spellcaster, such as a cleric, druid, or wizard, you must spend time each day preparing spells for that day. At the start of your daily preparations, you select a number of spells of different levels determined by your character level and class. Your spells remain prepared until you cast them or until you prepare spells again. Interesting. And we actually get a further description. Continuing on, each prepared spell is expended after a single casting. So if you want to cast a particular spell more than once in a day, you need to prepare that spell multiple times. The exceptions to this rule are spells with the cantrip trait. Once you prepare a cantrip, you can use it as many times as you want until the next time you prepare spells. You might gain an ability that allows you to swap prepared spells or perform other aspects of preparing spells at different times throughout the day. but only your daily preparation counts for the purpose of effects that last until the next time you prepare spells. In all honesty, I kind of like this. It means that you have a limit on what spells you're going to be using on that day. And this will give certain spellcasters, like the stereotypical wizard, the ability to choose exactly how many of what spell they want to use. You have to think about what you are going to be using. Is it tedious? A little bit. But still, that actually makes sense. There are a lot of different ways to go about this, and I think this is wonderful. Anyway, moving on. Spontaneous spells. If you are a spontaneous caster, such as a bard or sorcerer, you choose which spells you'll use in a spell slot for at the moment you decide to cast it. This provides you with more freedom in your spellcasting, but you have fewer spells in your repertoire, as determined by your character level and class. When you make your daily preparations, all your spell slots are refreshed, but you don't get to change the spells in your repertoire. Makes sense. A smaller spell list in order to use spell slots. Very useful, very handy, able to have spellcasters make quick decisions. I kind of like it. Heightened spells. Both prepared and spontaneous spellcasters can cast a spell at a higher level than the listed for the spell. This is called heightening the spell. A prepared spellcaster can heighten a spell by preparing it in a higher level slot than its normal spell level, while spontaneous spellcasters can heighten by casting it using a higher level slot, so long as they know the spell at that level. When you heighten your spell, the spell's level increases to match the higher level of the spell slot you've prepared it in or used to cast it. This is useful for any spell because some effects, such as counteracting, depend on the spell's level. In addition, many spells have additional specific benefits when they are heightened, such as increased damage. These extra benefits are described at the end of the spell's stat block. Some heightened entries specify one or more levels at which the spell must be prepared or cast to gain the extra advantages. Each of these entries states specifically which aspects of the spell change at the given level. Read the heightened entry only for the spell level you're using or preparing. If its benefits are meant to include any of the effects of a lower level heightened entry, those benefits will be included in the entry. Other heightened entries give a number after a plus sign, indicating the heightening grants extra advantages over multiple levels. The listed effect applies for every increment of levels beyond which the spell is heightened above the lowest spell level. The benefit is cumulative. This is cool too. This means that, say you are able to cast a 6th level spell, you can prepare your fireball, which is probably a 3rd level spell, at the 6th level spell slot. And another one at the 4th level, another one at a 3rd level, and maybe one at 5th level. That way you have multiple castings that are more powerful than the lowest spell level that you have prepared. I like it. I think this is good. Alright, now let's go ahead and talk about cantrips, page 300 of the core rulebook. Casting a cantrip doesn't use up your spell slots. You can cast a cantrip at will any number of times per day. If you are a prepared caster, you can prepare a specific number of cantrips per day. A cantrip is always automatically heightened to half your level rounded up. Okay, so similar thanks to Dungeons & Dragons once again, with some minor tweaks to account for Pathfinder's ruling. Very nice. And now we go on to another type of spell. This is a spell type only for Pathfinder 2nd Edition, Focus Spells. Page 300 to 302, to quote, Focus spells are a type of spell attained directly from a branch of study, a deity, or another specific source. You can learn focus spells only through special class features or feats, rather than choosing them from a spell list. Furthermore, you can cast focus spells using a special pool of focus points. You can't prepare a focus spell in a spell slot, or use your spell slots to cast focus spells. Similarly, you can't spend your focus points to cast spells that aren't focus spells. Honestly, rather interesting. I hope this actually comes up in a couple of character builds, because this could be an interesting feature. Continuing on, focus spells are automatically heightened to half your level rounded up. I think there's another difference from Pathfinder and D&D. D&D rounds down, while Pathfinder rounds up. Which, honestly, I like a bit more than rounding down. Continuing, you can't cast a focus spell if its minimum level is greater than half your player level rounded up, even if you somehow gain access to it. So, stereotypical things about spells. Not too bad there. Casting any of your focus spells cost 1 focus point. You automatically gain a focus pool of 1 focus point the first time you gain an ability that gives you a focus spell. You regain all focus points in your pool during your daily preparations. You can also use the refocus activity to pray, study, or otherwise reattune yourself to the source of your focus magic and regain a focus point. Some abilities allow you to increase the focus points in your pool beyond 1. Typically, these are feats that give you a new focus spell and increase the number of points in your pool by 1. Your focus pool can't have a capacity beyond 3 focus points, even if feats that increase your focus pool would cause it to exceed this number. So that must mean that focus spells are a bit more powerful than normal spells. Probably not by much, but they're going to be a little bit more powerful, judging by this limitation. Spellcasters with focus spells. If you are a spellcaster, your focus spells are the same tradition of spells as the class that gave you the focus spell. Okay. Non-spellcasters with focus spells. If you get focus spells from a class or other source that doesn't grant you spellcasting ability, the ability that gives your focus spells also provides your proficiency rank for spell attack rolls and spell DCs, as well as the magical tradition of your focus spells. Okay, that makes sense. Alright, moving on to casting a spell. We're almost done here. Just about everything is the same in Pathfinder 2nd Edition as it is in Dungeons & Dragons. From being able to use spell components, material, somatic, verbal, and now the focus. And also you have your touch range, areas, targets, line of effect. But you also have the difference of these actions. Some spells take different actions, even some spells having a free action category, which could be useful on down the line. And I hope to run into a couple of these spells, because that would be amazing to see what they can do. Duration. This is the last thing on our list, and it's pretty much the same thing as Dungeons & Dragons once again. You have your sustaining spells, which honestly I find interesting, and I wasn't going to write all this out, because I had already written a bunch. If the spell's duration is sustained, it lasts until the end of your next turn, unless you use a sustain a spell action on that turn to exceed the duration of that spell. Now, according to sustain a spell, you're able to do so to the listed duration. If you hold it for that time, it automatically ends, and you gain the effect known as fatigued, which is not the same as exhaustion, unfortunately. It only has one level, and you just get a -1 to your AC and your saving throws, which honestly makes sense. Furthermore, you have your long durations and your dismiss action. And then finally, you have your saving throws. If you get a critical success on your saving throw, you take no damage from the effect. You succeed, you just take half damage. A failed saving throw is full damage, and if you critically fail your save, you take double the damage. Which I kinda like. I wish this was in Dungeons & Dragons. A critical success and a critical failure on a save. That makes perfect sense. And with that, that is all the time I have for you today, my dear viewers. I hope that you enjoyed. If you're looking for a guide on how to create a character in Pathfinder 2nd Edition, be sure to check out my Hero Flux playlist. Until then, this has been Drehan, and I am offline.